Hello world and welcome back to another episode of Let's Play Horizon Zero Dawn. My name is Kelthos, and in the last episode we had traveled from where we were to Meridian, to the Palace of the Sun, so that we could talk to the Sun King and Erend about what happened to Ursa and where she might be. And he told us to go to Pitchcliff near the Borderlands to find out if we can find a general from the last Sun King's regime called Derval or something like that. And he's way up here, I guess. Or someone who knows about him is way up here. And then we also collected a couple metal flowers along the way to Meridian. So in this episode, we might make our way up there. And we're going to get these collectibles along the way and see what we can do. So here we go. First, we need to fast travel to this location because it's the nearest. Well, no, because there's a Banuk figure right here. And another corrupted zone that's lower level. So let's get this Banuk figure, get this ancient vessel, come down here and get this corrupted zone and see where we can go from there. Alright. Oh, and in the last episode we had just found this about the founding of Meridian, and I didn't get to read it because I started to and then the timer went off, and I figured it would take me a while to read this, so I didn't want to make the episode any longer than it has to be, so I'm going to finish reading it here. The founding of Meridian. We are Karja. In us is the blood of those led by Aram from persecution and pursuit so long ago. Out of the far savage east we came, guardians of a treasure greater than the land, than land or metal, the leaves of the old ones. Aram found the leaves in a ruin picked out by a beam of sunlight. And he recognized at once their importance. Within was etched the first teachings of how to observe the sun, to recognize its guidance, and to understand the place of man. From out of the leaves came the first glyphs, the first writing, so our knowledge could last longer than voices. But when our forefathers offered to share this gift, they were driven out by those they had once called tribesfolk. These ones feared to have the light of knowledge brought to bear on their ignorance, and were jealous of its power. And so began the long wandering of our people, trusting only that the sun would guide them and deliver them from the barbarian tribes. The path was hard and marked by the stones of families who fell along the wayside, even Aram's own. The persecution was unceasing from those without purpose. Only the desire to debase and destroy. But the faith of the Karja was rewarded with a distant vision, a tower like a solid ray of sun, holding on the horizon, flashing. Even as our enemies descended upon them, Aram followed the flight of the Glinthawks, leading his people through looming canyons and teeming jungles. Again they saw the tower, so close now it seemed to reach to the very sun itself, and they saw the Glinthawks perched upon it. Beheld in the light of the sun, the tower, the spire, cast its long shadow upon a mesa across a verdant valley. Aram knew he had found a haven for the tribe, and as this was a place shunned by those without his faith, who cowered from the magnificence of the spire or the shining feathers of the Glinthawks. He named this place Meridian from a passage in the leaves. The tribe settled in the protection of the great mesa. They found the site was blessed in every respect, carving their cliff houses from the bounteous resources, and in time from the red rock of the mesa itself, crowning it with the first columns of the City of the Sun. Truly the sun gave much to its descendants of our forefathers, granting Meridian great harvests and prosperity, and the bounds of the sundom for as far as its light touched. In time, seeing Meridian shielded us from the dark arrows and plots of our foes. Other foreigners brought trade and tribute. Holy Meridian, without spire and sun there would be no Meridian, and now and forevermore it stands as a monument to both, and the glory of Aram and the founders is reflected anew in each Sun King of the Radiant Line and the noble houses of the Sun Court. That was interesting to read. It really was. It's like their belief of how
Arrested two for disorderly conduct last night.
What?
Don't want to know what they were doing.
I forgot what I was going to say. It's like their belief, I guess, of how things should be and why they are the way they are. But also it's a history of how it actually happened and stuff. The Sun Kings. The Chronicle of the Sun Kings, the founder Aram, who guided our forefathers from the shadows of the savage east into the vastness of the Mesa Valley, and who, reading the signs of sun and shadow both, delivered them to the sight of Holy Meridian, the bounteous Amavad, who oversaw the clearing and sowing of the royal maize lands, so that none who walked in the sun's favor should go hungry again, who cut back the jewel to claim the rich estate lands for the first houses of the Sun Court, the far-seeing Sadahin, who expanded the sun's dominion to the north, south, and east, setting a gate at Bright Market Harbor, and who, before the sun at its highest, proclaimed these lands would be known as the Karja Sundom, and so by the light it was good. And generous Jawadan, who stocked the metal markets with spoils of his own trampler hunts, and who allowed trade from north and south, even permitting outlanders the gift of counting glyphs so that they may understand more than simple barter. Zavarad, the pilgrim Sun King, whose tower was raised to the top of the ridge of Vales, and who crossed the great waters of the daybreak, so the sundom might extend ever further, and to honor this passage had the great blazon arch raised on the far shores. Bold Uriv, who saw the sun's passing into the west as a challenge, and forged after it with a great army, to be pushed back 3 times at the great canyon lands that would be known as the Daunt, until on the 4th time his cohort broke through and were vanished into the lands beyond. Prudent Basadid, who had the mantle of his fallen brother thrust upon him suddenly, who ordered the construction of the fortress of Sunfall and the garrison at Blazon Arch, declared the land beyond it the forbidden west, where only the sun may go. Kavadin, the returner, who strove to bring civilization to the savage east, but returned after many strenuous endeavors, saying it was no longer fit for people of the sun, and called the building of great towers and walls so that this wild land might be observed safely. Run in the Firebird, who saw the sundom suffer unprovoked attack by the Tenakuth horde, who, against the protests of his advisors, accompanied his army to confront them under the sun and claimed victory. Though he was so greatly scarred, he wore his blazoned helmet from that day. Nahasis, who was a hunter as much as a Sun King, and called for the proudest men of the noble houses to prove themselves in competition beneath the sun, and that those who felled the greatest machines would be situated as the first Sunhawk and Hawks of the Hunter's Lodge. The illuminated Marzid, who the sun visited with visions so vivid and grand, he commissioned many statues and frescoes of his visage in Meridian, and for his summer palace in Sunfall, had the great citadel raised, where he remained painting until he took deathly ill from his own pigments. Hivas, elder brother of Marazid, who decreed each family with a suitable male child should submit that child in service of the sundom's then depleted ranks, and had the artisans turn their attention from works of art to outfitting each soldier of the sun with the very finest armor, halberd and bow. Duran, who in his early years was a strong Sun King, defending the Sundom from the encroachment of other tribes and the derangement of the machines, but who became greatly addled and ordered the spilling of much blood in the sun's name, threatening to bring a twilight time upon us. Avad, the Liberator. Sorry that took forever, but I find that stuff interesting. I really do. I like to find out all I can about the lore of every game that I play, pretty much. Without, like, searching online and stuff. I mean, like, within the game. So we need to get out of here and go that way. So, turn this way.
Not what I imagined when I was a boy, but it's decent work.
And turn this way. Can we get out this way? I don't think we can. Can we get out this way then? I think so, right over here.
The sun's rising is off court. That noble girl.
Maybe. Hang on while I figure out how to get out of this damn place. I think I found a way. I found a bunch of stairs that led down. Whoa. Where the hell am I going? Am I even going the right way? Who knows? This isn't the right way. Is it? I don't know. Let's find out. Nope, it is not. Well, I was trying to find the way out when I found another glyph over here, so let's see what this is. The reign of the Mad Sun King. Be warned, reader, that as a true account of the Mad Sun King Duran's acts, these glyphs are blotted in blood. Truly the savageries committed can barely be recounted, so pray to the cleansing sun for yourself and the teller of these tales. You will learn of the grievous wounds inflicted on foreign lands in the reaping sacrifice, the red raids, for the Mad Sun King would order a whole generation cut from each village, so they might more willingly supply sacrifices and be harder pressed to field fighting men on the next raid. The Utaru, who fought to appease with gifts of grain, were slaughtered in such number that upon the following harvest, the maize grew black and blue with the blood of the dead. I wonder if that's actually could happen. I know, it probably sounds stupid, but I wonder. Against the Asuram, the terror of the sun piled the corpses of their fallen up to the walls of their villages so his kestrels might clamber upon the dead to enter. And in the valley of the barbarian Nora, terrors of the savage east, such savagery ensued that the trees were drooped with corpses hung as grim warnings. Should you wish to read of the Mad Sun King's depredations against his own people, your curiosity will not go unsated. Within are accounts of the deaths of those sentenced to the Sun Ring, listed in such detail you might think it reported by their own chattering skulls once piled outside the city gates. Nor will you find a more harrowing account of his massacre of the Hunter's Lodge. Reading these accounts, you might imagine yourself among its brave hawks as they fought to the last, bloodying the sand from dawn till dusk, or perhaps in the crowds as they loosed behemoths careened as the loosed behemoths careened through the stands with the crashing of wood and bone. All this crazed bloodletting did the mad Sun King take in with pitiless gaze. Indeed, he would not even look away from the goring of his own son in that ring of death. His fair-haired Kataman of the dawn's rising, so degraded and doomed for the crime of standing against his father. Such a true and complete account of the mad Sun King Jiran's miseries cannot be found in the history annals or heard from the reckoners of the Sun Priests. It is with a heavy heart that I scribe these events, leaving out no shocking detail, but my debt is to history and to you, brave reader. We don't even get to read it. Okay, continuing on this way, yeah. Looks like we're gonna have to go around. Oh, and there's another one right here. The Liberation. The Liberation of Meridian, an official account as scribed by the reckoners of the Sun Priests and marked with the emblems of truth by exacting Veron, who witnessed these events. In the 21st year of the 13th Sun King Jiran's reign, the twilight time of his madness, the Sun King's own favored heir was put to death. The radiant Kataman's crime was to demand an end to his father's acts of bloodshed. And this sacrifice set that end in motion. Jiran's second heir, the radiant Avad, fled Meridian at dusk with his honor guard, soldiers loyal to him over the Sun King. All night they traveled northwards, knowing that come the dawn they would be branded as traitors and marked for death. So it was that when Jiran made their proclamation, they had already traveled far, and in time they did reach the edge of the Sundom and crossed into Oseram territory. For Avad was canny and planned to negotiate terms with the Oseram. He knew he had an ally among them, Ursa, a fierce Oseram warrior with whom Avad had a long and unusual history. 2 years earlier, Ursa had been brought to Meridian as a captive, destined for sacrifice, but she survived the Sun Ring, killing 2 kestrels by her own hand. Thus did she earn the honor of being made a palace slave, and in this role came to know Prince Avad. A rare friendship was formed, and Avad conspired to free his friend, who returned at once to the Oseram homeland. Now desperate for allies, Avad sought out the Oseram he had helped to free. Ursa had ties to the warlords and freebooters who resisted the Red Raids. With Ursa's might and Avad's keen strategy, they could raise a warband and move to overthrow Jiran. And as a rightful heir to the throne of the sun, Avad hoped to inspire many of his people to rebel, so sparing Meridian from a drawn-out war. After months of preparation, Avad and his allies crossed the border and marched on Meridian. As word of their advance spread, many Carja's soldiers fled back to the city, laid down their arms, or even joined the liberators. Yet wise Avad knew that Jiran's faithful would defend Meridian to the last man, even sacrificing the lives of its citizens if it would hold the holy city against siege. He found kestrels and city guard already set in on the walls, ready to face arrow and shot, but Avad's Oseram allies had brought new weapons never before seen beneath the sun. Thundering cannons, strong as machines, Avad permitted them to fire their salvoes on the outer walls, bringing many defenders down with great carnage. As the smoke cleared, the liberators attacked in 3 groups. One scaled the walls beneath the Temple of the Sun, another took to the aqueducts of the palace, while the main force overcame the barricaded city gates with cannon fire. These were the final blasts fired at the holy city, as Avad forbade any further destruction. In the streets, too many... there's the timer, so after I'm done reading this, I'll have to go. In the streets, too many scenes of brutality and chaos played out to record. Among the terrible miasma of blood and smoke, the Sun Ring's slave pits were opened and hundreds spilled out, desperate to escape. Many of Duran's supporters seized their chance to flee with this flood of unfortunates. The day had turned, and seeing his forces much reduced, the Sun King Duran ordered his trusted kestrels take Idaman, his sole remaining heir, from the city. Helios, terror of the sun, cleaved a path through Meridian from east to west, striking down all in his way, ally and foe alike. The savagery of Helios, I can't remember how you pronounce his name, and his kestrels could not be matched. And so it was that Idaman, his mother, the Dowager Queen Nasadi, and the high sun priest Bahavas escaped. Avad confronted Duran in his solarium. He had hoped his father would answer for his crimes honorably, but seeing this could not be so, with great anguish he struck him down. As the murder of a true Sun King is an unthinkable act, and surely would plunge the world into shadow, Duran's death proved that the sun had renounced his legitimacy. Yes, sun had turned to shadow on the throne of Meridian, and it was Avad's light that drove the shadow out to the west, where it remains to this day. So was the cycle of things corrected in this, the first year of the reign of the 14th Sun King, the radiant Avad. Alright. In the next episode, we will continue on to the Banuk figure and to this ancient vessel, and then come down here and clear this corrupted zone. And then we will slowly work our way up to this pitch cliff place. I want to thank you all for watching, and if you like what you see, I suggest you subscribe to my channel so you can see the new videos I post every single day. And if you really like the videos, I'd really like it if you could leave a thumbs up and a comment. That way I could have some interaction on my channel and know that people are actually watching and actually care. And if you want to know when I post my videos, exactly when I post them, the best way to do that is to turn on your notifications as well. Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.